She stood there like she was royalty, chin lifted, expecting me to turn myself into a spinning top just to make things more convenient for her. But convenience works both ways, and that day I decided to teach her what real inconvenience feels like. If you've ever dealt with someone who thought the world should bend around them, hit that like button. Subscribe if you love stories where karma hits just right. Because this one, it's petty, it's silent, and it's glorious. Let's rewind a bit. It was just another shift at my part-time job on campus, front desk proctor, at one of the dorms at northeastern Boston. Nothing fancy. My job was simple: sit at the front desk, check IDs, tap them into the system, and let residents and their guests inside. It was routine, repetitive, almost mindless. The layout was something I could draw with my eyes closed. The entry door on my left, the exit door on my right, the front desk dead center, and the card reader, crucially, on the right side of my desk. Every day, students lined up, walked to the front of the desk, handed me their IDs. I tapped them, handed them back, and they moved on, smooth, efficient, predictable, until she showed up. I still remember the first time I saw her. She walked in like she was gliding on an invisible runway, backpack slung over one shoulder, phone glued to her ear, voice loud enough to echo through the hallway. She didn't even glance at the desk. Instead, she drifted past the front and planted herself on my left, right next to the entrance door, like some kind of VIP, waiting for her personal assistant. I paused, confused. For a second, I thought maybe she didn't know where to go, so I gave her a quick, polite smile, expecting her to step forward like everyone else. Nope. She held out her ID lazily, like I was supposed to pivot my entire body, take her card, then twist all the way to my right to tap it, and twist back again to return it. All while she stood there, not even looking up from her phone. I felt a small flicker of irritation. Not a fire yet, just a spark. But I did it. I turned, tapped, handed it back. Because at that moment, I was buried in other work and honestly didn't feel like starting a thing over something small. She walked off without a thank you. And I told myself, okay, maybe it's just a one-time thing. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. A few days later, she came in again. Same exact move. Straight to my left side. Arm out, phone in hand. Expecting the same dance. Now, I'm not a robot. Turning back and forth like that might not seem like much. But when you're dealing with hundreds of people per shift, tiny disruptions add up. And this wasn't about convenience anymore. It was about attitude. She wasn't confused. She wasn't in a hurry. She just genuinely thought that she was the exception. And with each time she pulled this stunt, my internal irritation grew a little stronger. It wasn't the act itself. It was the entitlement that oozed from it. That smug, I don't need to follow the flow everyone else does vibe. I started noticing her more. She'd strut into the lobby, acting like everyone else was invisible. The kind of person who talks over others, not to them. You know the type. One evening, near the end of my shift, she came back, but this time she had a friend with her. And not just any kind of entrance, oh no. This time she put on a performance. She slipped into this fake accent. You know, the exaggerated, I studied abroad for one summer and now I'm basically European. And started talking loudly, as if she was putting on a show. Her friend walked up to the front of the desk like a normal human being, confusion all over her face as she watched. Miss Convenient veer off to the left side like she owned the place. The friend whispered, "Are we allowed to stand here?" And with the kind of fake confidence only the truly self-centered can muster, the girl tilted her head and said, "Yeah, it's just more convenient for me to stand here." That sentence, that tone, the dripping entitlement in her voice. Something in me snapped, quietly but firmly. My smile froze. My hands paused mid-motion. Internally, I said, "All right. You want convenience? Let's talk about convenience." As she handed over her card with that same smug expression, I felt this surge of quiet determination. Not rage, not yelling, just that cold, calm clarity you get right before you make a chess move that'll end the game. I took both her card and her friends, tapped them into the system, click, click, no words, no extra gestures. Then, instead of spinning around to hand them back, like she clearly expected, I slowly, deliberately leaned to the far right end of the desk, the exact opposite side of where she was standing, and I slammed both cards down on the desk. Not violently, just firm enough to make a little thud, enough to get her attention. Then I looked up, dead, silent, stare. I didn't need to say a single word. And then, like nothing happened, I turned back to my laptop and started typing. For a solid 2 seconds, the air hung still. Her friend blinked, then awkwardly started shuffling around the desk to retrieve the cards. Her expression was a mixture of embarrassment and, "What just happened?" Meanwhile, Miss Convenient just stood there, processing. Her lips parted slightly, as if to say something. Her eyes flicked from me to the cards, then back to me. And in that silence, you could practically hear the ego deflate. She didn't say a word. She didn't try the fake accent again. And for the first time, she actually looked unsure of herself. Her friend handed her the card, and they walked off. No witty comeback, no sass, just the quiet walk of someone who had just been handed a mirror. From that day forward, she never stood on the left side again. Every time she came through the lobby after that, she walked to the front like everyone else. No more convenience, no more performance, just a quiet scan and move on. And me, I didn't gloat. I didn't tell anyone. But inside, there was this warm, satisfying click. Not every revenge needs to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful ones are silent, calculated. A simple gesture that turned someone's own logic right back at them. She thought her convenience mattered more than everyone else's. But that day, she learned inconvenience is a two-way street. I didn't speak. I didn't smile. I just placed the cards down, far from her, and turned away. The silence that followed was louder than any confrontation could have been. For once, the girl who made everything about herself was caught off guard. No script, no control. Just a quiet little reality check waiting at the far end of the desk. The best part? I didn't have to break any rules. I didn't yell. I just mirrored her own behavior back at her. And sometimes, that's the sweetest kind of justice. Because it doesn't just punish the action. It exposes the attitude. If that moment gave you even a little secondhand satisfaction, smash that like button. Comment below. What's the pettiest revenge you've ever pulled off? And if you love stories where karma strikes silently but perfectly, subscribe for more. I've got plenty more where this came from.